Well, real estate has always been more than just buildings and land. It's power, stability, and the foundation of generational wealth. But what if most of us have been looking at it all wrong? What if real estate isn't just for the privileged few, but the smartest way for anyone to become truly rich? I'm Nupur Talwar Suri, and today I'm joined by someone who's made it his mission to help India become real rich nation. Mr. Atul Goel, he's the Managing Director of Goel Ganga Group, a thought leader, entrepreneur, and author of Real Rich. Mr. Goel has spent decades decoding how property can transform lives and communities. Good evening, Mr. Goel. Thank you very much for being with us on Profit. Let's begin by going back to where it all started, essentially history. Why do you think real estate has always been seen a symbol of power and wealth?
I think real estate has never been an instrument of investment since beginning. And if you look at the history, all the kingdoms, all the wars were fought and the kingdoms were acquired for acquiring real estate. And when they, like Chhatrapati Shivaji, he acquired 300 forts. And because he had 300 forts, he was like called as a Chhatrapati because he had so many forts under his kingdom. If you look at Akbar, he wanted to acquire the whole of the country, and the more and more he acquired, he became a Chhatrapati, or he became the crown king. So, you know, I mean, today also, if you look at the country, any country, the way Dubai is coming up, the more and more skylines come up, the country's growth is seen. So it is always the symbol of power and influence.
So in a modern context, you're perhaps telling us that real estate investors will perhaps be the kings of today and tomorrow?
Of course, because look at the freedom we got, the opportunity we got, and the strength we got to acquire real estate was only after we got independence. And after we got independence, the power to to get money was given only in '98, after like 40 years of our independence. So definitely when you acquire your own kingdom, whether it's a 2-bedroom apartment or a 3-bedroom apartment or a 1-acre bungalow or a 100-acre farmhouse, you feel like you're the king of your own kingdom.
Right. So, you know, for a lot of investors, one of the key concerns would be how does real estate remain a stable asset? Because when economies grow, and like ours is, there is a lot of fluctuation. So how does one work around that?
I don't think so there would be fluctuation in real estate. It's only when you speculate and when you enter a market which is speculation, you will have this, you can fear about, speculation in the rate going down and going up. But in real estate, I've always seen that you will get a lot of stability. I've never seen a rate falling down up to because you always are an actual buyer. Whether you buy an apartment to stay or you buy an apartment to invest and then rent it out to someone, you buy a office premises which is already rented out, or you buy premises for your own use, you always have a long-term perspective. And any asset which is bought for a long-term perspective, you should never fear about speculation and never fear about the rates going down. It's an investment which you can buy at a very minimum cost, and rest money you always get from the banks and from a lot of other sources.
How much do you think is the right period to stay invested in real estate for someone who's looking at it for the first time? And the second part of it is that a lot of Indians seem to think that real estate is something that you should invest in above a certain age. Would you like to debunk that myth, and what would your advice be?
Yeah, so I think there are two questions. Let me answer you the first one. I think the right time to buy is always yesterday. Real estate has never been about buying today. It was always you had bought yesterday, because you will never find anyone saying that I bought a real estate, I should have bought it yesterday and I'm happy buying it today. Today they will find it expensive. They will say yesterday it was cheaper, today it's expensive. So the best time to buy was yesterday. But nevertheless, whenever you buy, you stay with the project or the real estate, you will always be happy in a long term. Maybe 5 years, 10 years hence, you will not never regret that you bought a real estate. Secondly, definitely when you go for buying a real estate, it's always an expensive product to buy. It's like is always beyond your means. You will never have enough money to buy real estate. And that's why you always have that apprehension that whether I should buy, whether I should really take a loan. If I bought my first house and if I'm going for a second house and already have an office for myself, then when I'm buying extra houses or extra property for my investment, you will always have an apprehension that whether I should go for a loan, not to go for a loan. You have to be really planned and you have to really look at the investment in a right perspective. Only then you can really invest. And there are a lot of people who have made good money in real estate if they have taken the right view at the right time.
Now, so if someone is looking to buy real estate property and obviously they're looking to take it up on loan, a lot of us keep waiting for a low interest rate cycle. Tell us a bit more about how people can be aware of what is the right interest rate to take a loan on.
I think there is never a right interest rate to take a loan because if you take a floating loan interest rate, it all depends on when you buy. And you always depend on the bank, and depending on your relation, you get a rate of interest. So I don't feel that you should look at the right interest rate. Even if you take loan at 10%, it is cheaper, and if you take at 7%, it is cheaper. Because your appreciation and your value of the real estate is going to be appreciating more than that rate of interest. So you should always go for your house whenever you are ready to buy.
Now, loans, of course, do scare a lot of people. Because a lot of people think that debt is something that should be avoided, but you clearly are debunking that.
Yes. Yes, because, I feel this kind of loan facilities to buy a real estate was never available in India. It's a very promising thing which we get only in a developing country like India. You see so many countries where you don't have a structured financial systems, where it is very difficult to get loans for real estate. We only look at good countries, but if you look at other countries where the financial structures are not so organized, you won't get money to buy real estate, number one. Number two, today, if you have a secured job, and if you are like you're working in NDTV, I'm sure you are such a reputed anchor. You will never be out of job. I mean, you will be always there on your seat for 20 years. And for 20 years, if you're going to be working and doing the same job, why are you worried? Right. You're going to have a steady income. And if you have a steady income, which is going to be growing every year by 10 to 20%, you are going to have a pay slip, you're going to have a steady income. You should always encash your pay slip, and you should borrow money from the bank, and you should buy real estate, because that's going to give you double advantage. One is that instead of savings, you're putting money in real estate. Secondly, you will have appreciation of real estate. And thirdly, you own an asset, which is going to be a long-term asset of your family and your wealth on your balance sheet.
Right, but also we are living in a time where market slowdown is something that everybody fears. And there are property bubbles that people talk about. So how does a smart investor really protect themselves against this?
In whatever situation, whether market is doing good or not doing good, the buyer is always at the advantage stage. I mean, they're always going to have benefits. Whether the prices fall down or prices don't fall down, the buyer is going to always get the advantage. Because today also, when you say the prices are going up, under construction properties, if you go to buy a ready position property, properties are not available in the market. Only you see under construction properties, and those properties are those properties where you get a schedule of 2 to 3 years. So I don't feel that there is any disadvantage whether you buy today, you buy tomorrow. Every time you will always be in a situation that you won't get your right choice of house, you won't get your location of the house, you won't get a house where you really want to,
So there's never a right time. We're going to talk about that a bit more. So far, of course, we've learned that money isn't the enemy. Misunderstanding it is. When you know how to make it work for you, real estate becomes a tool for freedom, not fear. Up next, we'll tackle the biggest myth of all, why loans might actually be your best friend on the road to becoming real rich. Mr. Goel, in the break, we were discussing about how you think loans are bridges, not really burdens. Explain to our viewers what you mean by that.
I think it's a bridge between your prosperity. If you look at anybody who is looking at his prosperity, who is looking at his growth, he needs money, and he needs money to invest in his growth. And real estate is a way forward. And if you acquire real estate by putting your contribution and taking loan, you can really cross the bridge to your prosperity, is what I say. And never look at it as a burden, is all I'm saying.
So if you were to talk about broadly what your philosophy is about this, how would you summarize it?
I would say that, there was a period which I have seen when people used to say, save money so that you can buy a house for yourself. Today, you buy a house, by then you can really put your savings as an EMI and repay your loan. And by the time you've repaid a loan, you acquire an asset which has a value much more than what you bought for.
One of the interesting things that people talk about right now is good debt and bad debt. How would you differentiate between the two, and what would you call essentially bad debts?
If you take debt for buying a mobile, if you take debt for paying installments, even for your maybe car EMI or all those kind of things, I feel they are bad debts. But if you take debt for buying a real estate, it is one of the best thing you've taken, because not only that you are investing this money, investing in real estate is like acquiring a wealth, and there you are expending money to buy an asset which is going to depreciate.
Now, there has been a bit of a cultural stigma around taking loans in India. Earlier on, people used to say you need to save for your property, you need to, as you yourself talked about. But how does one move away from that?
I think it's a mindset. The younger generation has to be encouraged to take loan. That's all I'm saying, because their parents had this previous thinking that loan is always a burden, and they've always never seen the growth, the kind of growth today the youngsters see. Especially the urban youngsters, they see so much of growth in their career. That kind of growth their parents have not seen. And that's why they have never been able to take loan on their pay slip. And they never got that kind of loan and facilities what this young generation is getting. So I think that's the generation gap between the new urban crowd and the old people who have not been able to enjoy this kind of prosperity what our country sees today.
Right. Could you share some real examples of people who've really used this principle and transformed their financial journey? Because at the end of the day, it is a long financial journey that anybody who starts working, say, at 25, has many years ahead of them.
The whole of our Indian market, if you look at the Indian market, has grown only because people have been participating in the national story. They have been able to understand that instead of going for a rental apartment, and you should go for buying a new apartment. And whenever they bought a new apartment, and whenever they've taken the bold decision of taking a loan to buy a new apartment, they all have been very happy with that decision. Their parents have understood. Their parents have changed their view, and the whole country has changed their view, whoever has participated in this growth. So I feel as soon as you participate, you have to experience to really enjoy this kind of benefits you get after you participate in this kind of real estate buying. People who stay away from it, they only repent. I can just say that.
Okay, and now one of the important things whenever you take debt is obviously a lot of financial discipline. What would your advice be? What are the common mistakes that people must avoid?
Common mistake is that people delay their decisions. I have seen the most important or the most fearing thing is the cost of indecision. The more and more you delay, you pay more. Your property prices are always going to go up. The property which you saw today, and if you go to see it after 2 months or 3 months, you won't get the same property. You won't get in the same building. you have more buyers and lot of takers, more than what you think of. So I think the biggest mistake in real estate is not deciding and not taking a decision on time.
So just take the plunge is what you advise.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now, as India, of course, grows into this real estate-driven economy, what is your vision in making it a real rich nation, as you call it?
I always feel that every person who's migrating to urban city should plunge and should immediately buy a house for himself. As soon as you're committed for a job, as soon as you're committed, you have a commitment of a career, and you've started devoting yourself to a career, you should immediately plunge in buying your own house and never stay in a rental house. Today also, there are so many people who have been not decided to buy a house, and I see so many people even staying in rental houses for years together, and they have not decided to buy a house. So I think that's the biggest challenge we face.
Do you think a bit of that is also because a lot of people seem to think that they need to put their money in other financial instruments? But given the fluctuation we are seeing in the markets, do you think that maybe real estate might be a safer bet?
Real estate should be your primary wealth. And then you can always have your surplus money invested in other assets. I don't kind of debate with other assets, but you have to treat real estate as your primary wealth compared to other investment assets.
And that's true for most Indians, actually.
Yes.
Now,
and especially in this kind of scenario where India is growing and you see prosperity all over.
And the thrust largely is on infrastructure.
Yeah.
Now, you've built an entire philosophy around making people real rich. What is that one message that you would want to give to every viewer that they, and especially to younger people who are just beginning that investment journey, that they need to keep in mind?
I feel they need to first save money to pay their EMI. They need to save money and immediately start paying. Take a loan and pay EMI. Only when they have bought a house, invested in real estate, and have learned how to pay an EMI, they should start enjoying money and spending money for expensive dinners and expensive parties.
All right. So
I mean, that's the best way you can participate in the growth, which our country is enjoying.
And actually enjoy the economic prosperity that all of us are looking towards.
Absolutely.
So any last words, any advice apart from have the money in your bank and then pay the EMI?
India is going to grow richer and richer day by day. When you say India is going to be the third largest economy, I mean, that's the wealth of the country which is going to grow. Now, the only point is whether I am growing with the country or I am staying back.
So all of us need to be part of that.
Yes, and I would look at my all first-time buyers who should really immediately plunge into real estate and really enjoy the growth of real estate.
All right. What this conversation, of course, is really showing is that wealth isn't luck, it's literacy. Understanding money, loans, and the power of real estate can change not just individual lives, but entire generations. Thank you very much, Mr. Goel, for sharing your insights and your journey, of course, and telling us how to be real rich, and also telling us that this journey to be real rich actually starts with the courage to think differently. Now, maybe it's time to look at the real estate not just as an expense, but as your biggest opportunity. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri, and this has been the Real Rich Mindset. See you on the next episode.